So the big question is this: how are real estate investors who don't have a ton of free time, don't have access to off-market deals, and didn't start life on third base, how do we grow a real estate business conservatively to support our families, finally leave the corporate rat race, and build a legacy? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. I'm Ed Matthews, and this is Real Estate Underground. This is the Real Estate Underground podcast show number 53. Hello, everybody out there. This is Ed Matthews with the Real Estate Underground podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am really excited. I have been stalking this lady for the better part of, I'm going to say about 3 months now on Facebook, watching her business absolutely explode. And I finally got the courage to reach out to her and say, hey, I've been watching and, you're kicking butt and I really want to get to know you. And hey, do you want to be on a podcast? And graciously, Vicki Bentley said yes. Yeah, thank God.
Yes, right? I do want to be on your podcast.
All right. So Vicki Bentley Homes, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is exciting. And I have no shame in telling your audience, this is the first time I'm being interviewed for any real estate related podcast. So
you always remember your first podcast, right?
Yeah, just remember you saw it on Ed's podcast.
There you go. All right. So Vicki, like I said, I have the benefit of having Facebook stalked you for a few months, so I know who you are and what you do. But why not tell the audience who you are and what you do and where you're from?
My name is Vicki Bentley. My LLC is Bentley Homes LLC. I am almost 28 years old. I come from a long background of trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. I've tried a lot of things. Waitressing. I was a car saleswoman for a while, which was very interesting. I work in the corporate software world. I work for a really big tech company that sells major enterprise software. I help that company kind of run behind the scenes. So I have some really interesting work history, and I always wanted to search for something that I could feel a little bit more personally fulfilled with in life. I do love my 9-to-5, right? I'm there for a reason. I've been going strong. It's a great paycheck. It's a good job, but I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to be able to help people. I just never really imagined what that was going to end up manifesting as, right? Whether it was like, go clean up the ocean, or whether it was go pet some dogs for a living. It just happened to be that real estate fell in my lap. And I said, yes, absolutely. I want to be in real estate.
And it clicked, but I'm like twice your age, right? I'm 53. And here's the secret. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I probably still don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life yet. So always be curious, always keep searching, right?
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. So obviously you're a person of many talents, having multiple careers in a relatively short period of time. What actually drew you to real estate? Like, what was the thing that made it click in your head?
I tell people a lot that I am an avid Zillow browser. I have always just really enjoyed looking at property. And I don't know if I got it from my mother, who we grew up in an old Victorian home in Connecticut. Yep. And it was a really cool house. And she always just dreamed about like, oh, let's get another, mansion. She always just had these great ideas about how to fix up the house. And it was always an evolving project. And I don't know if I got a twinge of that from her, where I have this odd little fascination for property in general. So when I learned that real estate is not just about a hard asset, it's also about working with people in a really genuine way, man, I was like, I had no idea that this world existed. I remember when I first got into it, I was in a room full of some very successful real estate people and business people in general, people that have net worth of, over $1 million, which, hey, listen, like that is a rare opportunity for somebody who has never had that experience.
Right.
And I remember these guys in the room, and they just kind of took me under the wing, and they were like, Vicki, you're awesome. Like, you could do this. Like, no worries. And I said, wow, people actually see that in me. There's no way, and I almost thought they were lying to me. I'm like, these guys are just hyping me up for what?
Angle, right? Yeah.
Right. I'm like, these guys are rich. They shouldn't care about me. And then I just realized that it's not the money that makes the person at all. And you can be very successful in real estate and maintain your genuine personality, and your desire to help people actually doesn't dwindle, it grows. That's what I've realized.
It's so true. And, I've said this about my own journey, and a lot of other people have also confirmed what you just said, in that I have this theory that we're all basically reading the same book. And some people are a few chapters ahead of me. I may be a few chapters ahead of you, and you're a few chapters ahead of somebody else, right? And one of the things that I've consistently seen in the community, whether you're online with like a Bigger Pockets or you're going to your local RIA or a meetup, there's always those people in the room, or virtual or otherwise, that have benefited from the generosity of someone else who's a few chapters ahead of them. And the way that you repay that mentor is to do it for somebody else. And then they do it for someone else. And then they do it for someone else, right? And it grows the community. And I've had half a dozen people who in my life had either took pity on me or saw something in me, one or the other, I'm really not sure. And, threw an arm around me to help me kind of figure out, here are the things that are working and here are the things that aren't working, and how do I fix them, right? So glad that you walked into that room and met those people as well, because those mentors, what they do is they compress time so that you don't have to spend a year, 5 years, 10 years making mistakes, doing dumb stuff, and then having to go back and fix it. They help you jump over those mistakes and take advantage of opportunities. And that's actually where I want to get into it with you, because one of the things that you're focused on right now is capital raising, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you've been working with a couple of syndicators and have raised, we won't say the number, but it's a very, very large number in terms of money.
Now, Ed, I have to stop you there. That was just my first deal. And I don't mean to, I'm not coming off as braggadocious, but in the last 3 months, I've done 3 deals in total. And I've been doing the real estate since May. So I've been doing this for about 6 months. So all in total, I'm in my 3rd deal right now and raising very strongly. So yeah, I just want to make sure you knew that.
I know it now. So have you eclipsed the 7-figure raise yet, or are you on your way? You're close, right?
I would say I'm about halfway there.
There you go.
Almost halfway there. Yeah, what's really funny is when I did my first deal and I raised a really solid chunk of money, and I was so proud of that. And my ego was somewhere way over there.
Right.
And I said, oh, look, there it goes. And then I got into my second deal and reality smacked me in the face, because what had happened was when I did my first deal, I put a list together of my 50 or 60 closest friends or family that I thought might have the interest or the ability to invest in real estate. And I started contacting everybody, right? And so I worked those people really hard. And that was why I was able to raise the money that I did on my first deal. Now, the second deal comes along a few weeks later or a month later, and all of a sudden, that same group of people is essentially tapped out a little bit. Right. I had just approached these people, hey, let me give you the 101, the scoop on real estate investing.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I'm really interested in this, just not today, which is such a common thing to hear as a capital raiser. That's totally okay. This is a long-term game. However, that second deal comes up a few weeks later, and it's like pulling teeth now. People already know what I do. They've already heard my spiel. They've already heard the pitches. And that second deal was like, it was very frustrating, because I felt like, well, now I have to take a pause and I have to reevaluate what I'm doing. And if that means focusing more on building a CRM that will help me automate emails better, or if it means going to more networking events, right, and starting to build back my investor pool up a little bit to make sure that I have constantly new people flowing in.
Yep.
That was really important. And so now, by the time the third deal is here, I'm starting to pick up that pace a little bit. When you first start out with capital raising, if that's the first time you've ever done a raise, it takes a while to really build the flow. I talk about it like a pendulum, right? The pendulum exists like this. You have a deal here, you have deal flow coming in. You say, I have a deal. Now, who's ready to jump in? You might only have a couple of people that are willing to jump into that deal, right?
Right.
But the goal long-term is to have investors waiting for that deal to come into the, whether it's the right deal for them. Right. Exactly. So right now, I feel like it's starting to shift where I get that strong investor pool that is just begging for deals. They're begging to get into a new property.
I have a ton of questions about what you just said. I want to unpack all of it. Right?
That's like covering everything.
Because what you said is actually really profound. So when you got to deal 2 and the 50 or so friends and family who love you, already trust you, have already heard your story, and now you're going back 3-4 weeks later with, hey, I got another one. You've already heard yes and no, or maybe, or in the future from all of them, right? So when you said broaden your pool, how'd you do that?
I go to a lot of networking events.
Okay.
Now, let me be more specific. I try to go to networking events where I think that there are, for a lack of a better term, where there's a lot of net worth in the room.
Yep.
I had previously tried to dabble in networking events that I thought I would enjoy, such as a young professionals networking event. But unfortunately, what happens there is you have young professionals that are not already successful with what they do. Right. They're there for a reason. They have to network, just like me, in order to climb the ladder of success. Right. So I'm talking to people that are really like, wow, that is incredible what you're doing, but they have no way to come aboard with me and swim in my waters.
Sounds awesome, but I don't have 50 grand, right? Or whatever.
Yeah. Right? You said it perfectly. Right. I wasn't going to say it, but yes. So I started really looking for more networking groups that I could be in a room. First of all, it's not just to benefit my own selfish business needs to be in a room full of people that are more successful. Right. I actually genuinely like the meetings where I get to be the sponge. I get to stop talking for a little bit and just learn. Right. I went to a wonderful presentation, and I'll give them a little shout out. It's by Candor Realty. They do really awesome meetups around New England, both in New Hampshire and Mass. And they had Jeff Hyatt come in and talk about cost segregation analysis. Yeah. It sounds like you know Jeff.
I know of him. I don't know him. Yeah. Yes.
That meeting had like maximum attendance, more people than I had ever seen at a real estate investing meeting. And the value that he provided was just so incredible. And for somebody like me who may not be focused in the acquisition side of syndication deals, it's still valuable because I get to talk to my investors about cost segregation analysis, a big scary word that nobody knows what it is. And I get to really explain it to them better. I say, it's just, you get to save money. That's what it means.
And increase NOI, which increases the value of your property. So it's all good stuff, right?
Everybody wins. So anyway, it's those kinds of networking events that I really enjoyed because you get a lot of people with a lot of experience investing in real estate, sometimes on the single family side where they're like, hey, I'm successful with this. And then I come into the room and they're like, oh, but you don't have a duplex or a triplex or anything like that. And I'm like, no, I'm on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, but as soon as they start to realize that you're a capital raiser and you're good at it, I bet you become, one of the more popular people in the room fairly quickly, right?
Yeah, it really just depends. It depends because not everybody is looking for capital. Some people, they're very efficient at what they do. They've got their system. They're good. But those are the people that I want to talk to, the people that are already, got a thing going where I say, let me introduce you to this world too, that, it would be as if I was some Airbnb master and I say, well, here's my franchise success, run with it. Instead, I'm bringing them more opportunities than what they would normally have.
Gotcha. So that is really important, right? I mean, I think that the best thing you can do for your business is to put yourself in rooms where people are more experienced, more successful, and maybe even a little smarter than you, or at least about what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
That's where you get a ton of value. The other thing that I think I heard is that it's not about necessarily benefiting your business, right? It's also about serving them because you're providing an opportunity, right?
Absolutely. And that's, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if you've heard this as well, but for people that don't understand the syndication world and how this all works, you hear the word pyramid scheme way too often.
And Ponzi, right? That's the other word.
My dad was the first one to say, this is not a pyramid scheme, right? He's so protective. He just wants me to be safe. And I said, it couldn't be, if anything, I'm on the bottom of the triangle and they're on the top.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the way this world works, when you have money, you can make the things happen.
Right.
And my teams would not be successful if it weren't for my investors. So all the value is in their hands, 100%. Well,
Indeed.
Usually it's 70% of the value is in their hands.
Right.
If we're going to get into numbers.
Yeah. And so the key there is you're not really selling anybody anything. You're providing an opportunity. You're actually the prize here as the capital raiser, because you're giving them you're linking them to a return on their money that they wouldn't normally be able to get in the stock market, bond market, or, another asset class, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
And that's big.
And it is one of the only businesses where you don't charge people anything. I don't charge for my services. I'll talk to you all day till we're blue in the face about real estate and what you want to do with your money and your financial goals and how close you want to be to financial freedom in the next 10, 20 years.
Right.
And that's all just because I want to help people. And I get paid what I deserve to get paid. And the goal is to have everybody eat in the pie.
Right. It's a big pie. And, when you can put the numbers together in a deal that cash flows and makes sense, it is, appreciation is wonderful, but it's cash flow that breaks you free of the corporate job if, when you want to. That's the opportunity that you're offering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cash flow and those big returns. I mean, there's a reason these systems exist where you hold for about 3 to 5 years. You want to go in, you increase your NOI, and then sometimes there's a refinance involved. Sometimes it's the sale of the property that really gives you that beautiful bonus Christmas check that you've been waiting for.
It's a slice of heaven.
And you get to just snowball it. That's the best part. The snowball. It's insane. Let's talk about, the next 5 years. Well, what about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? And guess what? After that first investment, I know the first commitment is the hardest for everybody.
Sure.
But you only have to take that money out of your wallet once. If you want to. You can always take more money out of your wallet, but you only have to do it once to get it started.
Right. Because then, when you're dealing with syndicators where the equity multiple is, somewhere between 1.7 and 2+, you're nearly or better doubling your money with every 5-year cycle.
Yeah.
So you really don't.
You keep that. With the 1031 exchange, it's a crock pot of success. Yes.
It just starts baking money, right?
That's right.
Right.
Printing money. Like the money trees, they talk about money trees.
Yeah,
I actually have money trees. I have like 20 of them sitting behind me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So you're someone who is relatively new to the business. But I've known through my dealings with the local CTREA, Connecticut Real Estate Investors Association here, and other groups, I meet so many people that were like, man, I'd love to get into real estate. It's so cool what you do for a living. And my first question is, well, why don't you?
Very good question.
And, I get various answers of, I don't know where to find deals. I don't know how to raise money. I don't have time. They all tend to get into, I'm afraid. Right.
Yeah.
And so from your perspective, how did you kind of bust through that whole negative kind of wall that holds a lot of people back? How'd you bust through it? What made you different?
Stay with us. We'll be right back. A motivated seller just filled out your web form. If you call back within 5 minutes, you're nearly 4 times more likely to get that seller appointment. But delay your follow-up by even just 10 minutes? Forget it. You're toast. Ella Vista Connect calls that lead back in 60 seconds, qualifies them, and schedules your meeting. Find out how much slow follow-up is costing you. Free calculator at ellavista.com/underground.
To be honest, Ed, I had to, and I did this a long time ago with my life. I decided that I could just say yes to everything, quite like the movie Yes Man, and just see what happens. And I just learned from kind of a young age that when opportunity comes to you, if you don't take it, you'll never know.
Right.
And even if you fail, because let's be honest, sometimes you fail, like you just do. And I could quit the real estate game whenever I wanted to. If I was pissed off or frustrated someday, I could just throw in the towel. And I have the ability to do that. That's totally fine. The thing is, when you start saying yes to literally everything, you realize that the failures teach you more than your successes.
True statement.
I think I'm becoming successful. To a lot of people, people told me, Vicki, you're very successful. And
I'm now one.
I'm just kind of like, and it's not because I'm being an asshole. It's just because I just always want the new things and I want to be better and bigger and bigger and bigger. When you start realizing that saying yes is never a bad decision, that's when you start to grow.
Right.
Now, this can be applied throughout your whole life, whether it's, hey, I want to go on a 12-week diet challenge, or I want to take a trip to Germany by myself. I did that, hint, I did that when I was 21 years old. My dad almost died of a heart attack hearing that, but I did it because I just want to do things, and I just want to be successful in real estate. And the more I go, the more I learn, the more confident I've gotten. I've grown my brand, my business, my website, everything. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I'm sure plenty of people can relate to this, but day one going into the real estate stuff, I was like, man, I just want it. I want it all set up nicely for me in a nice little package with a bow on top. I want to unwrap it and say, that's what my business looks like. That's the plan. Nothing will change. There's predictability, but that's never the case. Everything is a constant work in progress. My website, I love designing and redesigning and building up my website all the time. I like adding little things to it and changing the way I'm doing things. I like realizing that, I can't just survive off of free Calendly subscription. So I got to buy the $10 a month. It's little things where you're learning in the beginning and you're saying, okay, I'm getting it. And that's because you're being challenged constantly. So anyways, I don't know. I might have gotten a little bit off track there.
No, you're nailing it. This is great. No, so here's the thing. The thread that I'm hearing through all of this is that the things you do, the things that we go after, right? It's a choice. You have to decide to do it. And once you make that decision, you've got to persevere, right? But the other part of it is there's always plan B, right? You can always go back to your day job. You can always, and in fact, the two people, you and I here sitting talking, right? I spent a bazillion years in tech, flying all over the place, slinging software, right? And consulting services. And it was a blast and I had fun, right? But then there was a point where I was like, man, I miss my wife and kids. And I'm traveling too much and I'd like to spend more time with them. And so you build up your real estate business as your side hustle to the point where it pays the bills. And then you take a step over and do the real estate thing, right? And
that's the reason I'm a huge, huge, huge advocate of short-term goals, micro goals. What can I do in the next 5 minutes? Micro goals. What can I do in the next 5 hours? Micro goals. Even the next 5 days. For me, 5 days is like honestly a stretch. People ask me, where do you want your business to be in a year? And I say, I don't even know if I'll have this business in a year.
Right.
And it's really silly. Yeah, it's a really silly thing to say, but what if in a year I was way too successful with real estate and I started opening up my own self-storage facilities instead? Sure. I didn't even know that goal was a possibility. It's not even on the table yet. I don't have a magical crystal ball. And unless you're psychic, which, that would be great, unless you can see into the future, setting goals way out there is majorly pointless. To me. Right. I understand people have their personal paths and goals, but I like to focus on what I can control, which is literally right now.
Right.
I'm the type of person, I get up in the morning and go to the gym. My eyes pop open at 6:30 a.m. without the alarm because I just want to get up. And I have a friend, he goes, Vicki, I cannot get myself out of bed in the morning. He's like, I feel so lazy. I feel downtrodden, like for absolutely no reason. He's like, I like my life. My life is good. I should be excited to wake up, but I just can't physically get myself to take off the covers and get out of bed and be excited about the day. Yeah. And I'm like, listen, you just got to make the decision now. Right. You don't sit there and think about it. You just say, get up. And I got up. Just be like, hug yourself, or play. I tell people all the time, The first thing you can do if you're not excited to get up in the morning, play a funny YouTube video while you wake up. Put it on the side while you're getting ready, brushing your hair, getting dressed, whatever. Start laughing. Start getting in a good mood, because
Right.
that really does, it sets the tone for your day.
Are you interested in real estate investing right here in Connecticut? Ever wonder where all those real estate investing pros hang out to network? Did you know the Connecticut Real Estate Investors Association will introduce you to those investors and will help you learn how to find deals, fund those deals, and even teach you how to do it without leaving your current job? Go to ctrea.com. That's ctreia.com and click on the events button to register for an upcoming event. Hope to see you soon.
Buying investment real estate is both thrilling and sometimes stressful. Without a lending expert by your side, most investors don't stand a chance. That's where CTREA Funding comes in. CTREA Funding was founded by investors to help investors just like you fund their deals. Whether you're buying a single-family rehab, an apartment building, or really any investment property, our team will understand your deal and help you close quickly. Go to ctreiafunding.com or call us at 860-876-0572.
It's amazing how changing your state of mind, and you can do it physically, you can do it mentally, or both, right? But using those tools, so I'm a Tony Robbins guy, right? So changing state is a big thing in my world. Same thing. I wake up in the morning and it's go time, and I use music and reading, and I know that when my toothbrush hits my teeth, I'm awake. Let's go, right? It's the first thing I do in the morning.
Yeah, good.
Train your brain, right?
Yeah.
So first off, it seems to me like you're an old soul, like you're wise well beyond your years. And I think you have probably pretty awesome parents, but also I bet you had mentors along the way. And so I'm curious, who gave you the best advice and what was it?
Oh gosh, this is a really good question. Let's go back to the parent thing.
Okay.
I have wonderful parents. My dad is the most empathic sweetheart of a guy you'll ever meet. He might be the most emotional one in the family, but every step of the way with my life, he's been there.
That's
and
awesome.
Although my parents divorced when I was young, about 4 years old, they stayed really good friends. And my dad would drive an hour to come pick my sister and I up. I have a twin sister, believe it or not. There's two of us. But he would drive down every weekend to pick us up, and we would go on adventures and watch movies all weekend. And he just always stayed in our lives in such a beautiful way. I call him sometimes 5 times a day just to update, hey, how's it going? I live a couple hours away from him, so we rely on our phone calls and whatnot to stay connected for the most part.
That's awesome.
My mom, a very strong Scorpio woman, was very hard on me as a kid, and she was always pushing me, and I hated it. When I was in elementary school, I would bring her, and even middle school and maybe a little bit of high school, she had me bring my homework to her every afternoon, and she would take a red pen and make X's and mark things that were wrong. And by the time I handed in my homework assignment, my teacher's like, what is this? Why is this all marked up?
Thank your mom for grading your homework before I even touched it, right?
Yep. She wanted to make sure I was on my A game. So because of her, I graduated near the top of my class. I was 4th in my class in high school.
Fantastic.
By the time I got done with high school, I was a little bit burnt out, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
Didn't really think that college was right for me, just because, again, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I could do anything, right? I wanted to try everything. And so I felt that going to college would keep me from being independent from an early age and really getting out there in the work world. I really wanted to work as a kid. By the time I was 15, 16, I was itching to get a job. Now, my mom, sad to say, God bless her, she passed away when I was 18.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. She had a slew of health problems. When I was a teenager, she had ovarian cancer and she had liver dysfunction and a lot of really aggressive, awful medical conditions. And she ended up passing away after a few months of just real complications. And that was something that really, really changed me as a person, especially being so young and being kind of the independent one of my family. I was always just kind of like the little rock for everybody, and everybody comes to me for the advice and whatnot. But it changed me. And looking back now, long term, it's changed me in some really, really beautiful ways, because not only am I like a more spiritual, emotionally connected person because of it, I just have this drive. It makes me want to live that much harder and to make mom proud. And I know she's sitting right behind me,
Right. Cheering you on, right?
I put those X's on that paper for a reason,
Right.
And it really does make me the strong person I am. And I know that everybody goes through life in their own pace. Like you said, like some people are in the first few chapters, some people are in the chapters back here. But I think that until you face true challenge in your life and true struggles, and that can either be self-inflicted challenge, right? Where you're like, let me just try a new career, or that can be the world smacking you in the face with something really hard like that, losing your mom or anything, could be anything. And until you really, really are faced with harsh reality, it's hard to imagine a world where you have to fight until you have to fight to get what you want, right? So anyways, that's a long-winded explanation of saying everybody is the product of their environment. That's not a secret. The people you surround yourself with truly shape who you are in more ways than you realize. I've always been a believer of surrounding yourself with people that are loving and nurturing and caring for you. The toxic relationships, I've stayed in too many toxic friendships and relationships where if it's not serving you, it's okay. And it's not your fault that it's not serving you, but that's a lesson for you to learn how to grow beyond those challenges. Yeah, the right people will keep you going too.
They do. Yeah, because I think, as you were saying, you are nature versus nurture, right? The nurture part of this is you are the sum total of the, in terms of power, energy, perseverance, all of that, sum total of the people you surround yourself with, right? The 5 or 6 people that are in your life on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And they either serve you or they hold you back. And you need to figure out what you want out of this life. Clearly you have. Congratulations on that, by the way.
I'm getting there, Ed.
Yeah, you're doing better than most, I got to tell you. So obviously you are a very intuitive and smart person. And so I'm curious how you consume information. Like, how did you learn how to do this business? Do you listen to podcasts? I think you mentioned YouTube videos. Do you like to read? Do you listen to audiobooks? And also, if so, who are you paying attention to these days?
Okay, so I want to start off with media consumption.
Okay.
In terms of books, I am 100% a pleasure reader. I like to just read because I want to read and I enjoy what I'm reading.
Awesome.
If a book is not tickling my fancy, I put it down and I say, that's not the book for me.
Right.
I loved books like The Alchemist. Oh my God, I wish I had found that book sooner because it was just such a great read, such a fun read.
Right.
Very mystical, The other book that I just started reading is The Happiness Advantage, which is like, yes. I don't know. Have you heard of it? Have you read it?
Not.
Yes, I will send you a copy. Mark my word, it will be one of your new favorites and you'll give it to all your friends.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And in terms of YouTube and TV and all of that, people say that TV is toxic and they're like, it takes away from your productivity. I think that's wrong. I think it's totally wrong because I think everybody deserves to have their downtime and to just zone out, right? Because we need to reset. Sleep cannot be our only reset button, right? We have to be able to enjoy this life. Why are we working so hard if we can't go sit and watch Stranger Things or Love Island or whatever your guilty pleasure is? So again, I'm fine with my media consumption is totally normal in terms of any average person that's not got a crazy life like I do, working insane amount of hours. I still value my TV time.
Sure.
I will watch YouTube videos in the background sometimes as I'm working crime documentaries or whatever. There's a guy that catches online scammers. And I had my identity stolen not too long ago. So that's been really satisfying. Yeah.
Excellent. So the kid in Russia that grabbed your ID, he probably got away with it, but at least you get to watch other people get caught, right?
Yeah. I like to see him get nabbed. So
there you go. All right.
Anyways, and I forget what your original question was.
No, I'm just curious about how you consume information and how you learned about real estate.
Yeah. So let's go back to the real estate focused now. I am definitely the type of person that learns by doing. I went to actually a vocational school for high school. I went to Norwich Tech.
Oh, okay.
And I did culinary arts, which I honestly didn't do it because I wanted a career in culinary arts. I just always, one, had a fascination with cooking, and two, I really liked the fast-paced environment that it provided. Especially as a young kid, I was like, I want to go. Right. And that definitely kicked my butt. So that was really fun. And that hands-on experience is just so important. Even though I have gone through this mentorship that I signed up with about multifamily investing, I just very quickly found that the coursework meant it's there for a reason, right? When you have questions. But when you're building your business, action is the most necessary thing that you can take. And learning will come in the very beginning to understand what you're about to do. But as soon as you start doing it, you're going to go your path, right? And you're always going to have questions along the way. Is it necessary to watch webinars all day? Is it necessary to watch speakers all day? Yes and no, right? Like, you're going to take whatever value you have time for, really. I will say that. Right. I don't have the time to sit down and do 3 hours of coursework a day. Yeah. I learn more by my conversations with partners, by my conversations with investors, by conversations with people that are just trying to, even people that are asking me for advice. I learn from them. So action has been the main driver of my success. Just
sounds like curiosity as well, right?
Yeah, I try to remain very curious. I'll be honest, I have to keep myself mentally thinking to be inquisitive. I think that is one of the best personality traits a person can have, is to just start asking questions and not worry about, don't worry about being the little guy in the room. It's fine. Like,
it's not even relevant, right?
No, people love answering questions.
Sure.
Especially I'm having a great time being interviewed.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I'm glad I'm having a great time interviewing you. It's, but I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I throw what you were saying into the curiosity bucket, because one of the things that, like, during networking events, if that's something, and clearly you're good at this, I mean, when you start to meet people, the best way to have a conversation with them is to learn all about them, right? And to ask questions about, what are you excited about? What are you doing today? What are you fired up about? How are you tackling, a particular problem? I'm seeing that interest rates are going up. How are you handling that, right? Because just being curious about how people got to where they are and how they're operating and how they're figuring stuff out, because we're all figuring stuff out, right? Mm-hmm. That is a really good technique to creating relationships and ultimately creating trust, and even may earn the right to do business with them at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it amazes me when I ask somebody, what do you do? And maybe their job isn't a very conventional job. I talked with a woman last night who helps businesses save money by allotting Social Security tax somewhere else and investing that. And it was this big whole complex thing. And I'm sitting there like wide-eyed, like listening to her talk. And she got this look on her face like she was a little bit embarrassed. And she goes, oh, you don't want to hear this whole spiel. And I said, no, I do. Treat me like I'm in kindergarten. I want to learn about you. I want to learn and understand what makes you tick and what you need, because I want to see you grow too. And I know that as soon as I start investing in other people's success, they will invest in mine. And you have to, it is the karma rule all the way. And I shouldn't say you. I like to be very Tao Te Ching, right? My cup is always full. I love everything that I'm doing. I'm very content, and I'm not searching for more. Because as soon as you start pulling at people, as soon as you start saying, how can you help me? That's when it's just, you create a wall.
Right.
Exactly. And so I've just found that with the right amount of patience applied, my business will continue on this upward trajectory, right? I've done the couple of first deals, which was really aggressive.
Mhm.
And now it's all about relationships. It's actually very little to do with real estate because I have people that I've done business with and helped get into deals that they don't really care about all the details. They do, right? Because it's their money and it's my job to educate them. But they say, you know what, Vicki, we have such a good, well-rounded relationship that I, one, genuinely believe that you have my best interest in mind. And if you're
Right.
not a genuine enough person where you can't convey that you're there to help them, that's never going to happen. And that's when things are going to go sour.
Right. You got to
And
serve.
so, yeah, the more you serve, the more your cup is just going to be overflowing.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's an old sales trainer. His name is Zig Ziglar. He said, if I help enough people get where they want to go, eventually they will help me get where I want to go. And it's something that I wholeheartedly buy into. I'm really excited that you do as well. I was probably about 10 years older than you are right now when I figured that out. And you may do it innately, but being aware of the fact that the only way to get where you want to go is to serve the people around you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. If you do really want to go far, that's the thing is I just didn't really have this sense of purpose in life, or, I have a really good energy and I'm a very positive person, but I kept asking myself, where do I direct that? What charity could I help? Or what,
Sure.
what cause could I give myself to? And I always saw it as a very transactional thing. Like, oh, I'm going to sign up for a volunteer opportunity and I'm going to do this and I'll donate money and I will donate my time. And it doesn't always have to be like that. Giving to other people does not have to be for oceanology research, or it doesn't have to be some kind of physical charity.
Right.
That's one of the things where I was so confused for the longest time. I said, if I'm not giving to a charitable cause, I'm not helping people. But that's the opposite. That's far, 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 far from the truth, because your everyday interactions with the people around you, that's what actually shapes people and what molds people to be better people. And the more people you can bring up in life and raise their, success, the more maybe they could go donate to a charity too,
Right.
or whatever it is.
Compounding effect, right? So,
Yeah.
because the fact is that the way you serve doesn't necessarily mean with your time or your money. It can be that you're helping somebody save for their child's wedding, save for their kids' college education, saving for retirement, and being able to retire, a few years earlier than you had planned to, right? Because you can. So, Vicki, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I frankly think we could go for hours going back and forth on this, because you're actually a really interesting human being, and I'm excited to finally get to know you a little bit.
I'm so happy.
So, if other people want to reach out, they want to learn more about your business or what you're doing and the projects you're working on, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I try to maintain a good social presence on most main platforms. The only one I haven't gotten into is Twitter, but I have an Instagram and a Facebook page. I'm very happy to connect on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whether it's my personal Facebook page, you're going to see my weird side with the ghost hunting stuff or the memes or whatever weird things I'm into aside from real estate. But yeah, I have a website. It's bentleyhomes.org. The .com was taken, and I plan to go find who that was.
Good.
But bentleyhomes.org is my website, and it has all the social links there. My personal page, I'm happy to give that to people if they ask for it.
Okay, good. And so when you're not talking about real estate, and actually I'm hoping that the paranormal thing comes up in the answer that you're about to give, what else do you like to do when you're not working on real estate deals or...
Yeah, so that is one of the things that I do on the side, believe it or not. And I worried about that hurting my credibility when I first got in the professional world, where I was like, hi, I'm also a ghost hunter, right? But yeah, people find it fascinating. And I find that it helps them remember me in a really unique way. But yeah, I love the paranormal. I'm the least spooky looking of all of my paranormal friends, I think, maybe. But and if you see my twin sister, she's like, got the dark hair and the tattoos and, she's the spooky one. But I think the spiritual world is just so cool. I'm very respectful of all that stuff. I go ghost hunting maybe once or twice a month when the warm months are here. And I also love the gym. I like to cook. Oh, I'm a big karaoke fan. I'll go out singing and I play the piano. Yeah, like I like to do it all. We even talked about horseback riding.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So everything. I like everything.
Excellent. Yeah. You say yes to everything, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Good for you.
Keep doing more things.
Yeah.
Have fun. It's your
Right.
life.
Have
Go do
experiences.
fun things.
Amen. All right. Well, hey, Vicki Bentley, thank you so much for your time today. Truly a pleasure to get to know you. And I hope that you and I stay in touch because I'd love to do business with you.
Yeah.
And also, I wish you well. Congratulations on your success. And I wish you very much an amazing future in this business because I have a feeling you're going to do really well.
It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
Honor. Wow. All right.
No, it is. It is. I'm humbled.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Likewise. Thanks, Vicki.
Great. Thanks.
This has been the Real Estate Underground podcast, a Clark Street Capital presentation. Thanks for joining us. If you're enjoying the show, please remember to like and share it with your friends. Also, leave a comment if there's a topic you want us to cover. We read every comment. If you'd like to learn more about Clark Street Capital and our upcoming projects, please feel free to reach out to us and join our investor club at clarkst.com/join or join the Underground Insights newsletter at clarkst.com/newsletter. Until next time, happy investing.
This has been the Real Estate Underground. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps us grow. Until next time, Undergrounders, remember your real estate journey begins with a simple step forward. Now get to it. Bye for now.